Hello and welcome to today's issue or rendition or meeting of the Coffee and Coaching Club. 30 minutes of actionable insights to build your business communication confidence so that you can be more successful, share your gifts with the world, serve the people whom you are meant to serve, and feel confident and calm while you're doing it. And today we're talking about the second key to compelling presentations. Now, not to worry if you didn't hear about the first key, because I'm going to do an overview of the three keys before I get into the second key. But before we do that, I'd like to introduce my wonderful program manager, Margaret, who's going to explain to you how you can put in questions or comments during the presentation. Margaret?
Hello and welcome everyone. At the bottom of your Zoom screen, if you just hover over the bottom of the screen, you'll see a thing called Q&A. And if you click that, it'll open the question and answer panel, and you can ask any questions or provide any comments during the session. And I'll be monitoring them, and we will do everything we can to make sure we get your question answered during the session today.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So let me share with you an overview of what I consider the three keys of compelling presentations. And my metaphor for those three keys is a three-legged stool. Now, why is that? Because when you have a three-legged stool, and if you take away one leg of the stool, what happens? Falls over. So if you're missing one of these three keys to an effective presentation, whether it's spoken or written or any other form, whatever form, you are going to fall flat on your face, metaphorically, hopefully, not actually, of course. And what are those three keys? And my abbreviation for them are what, how, and allow. What's your message? Does it make sense? That's the first key we were talking about. Is it memorable? Is it engaging? How are you presenting it? Are you presenting in a way that's attractive and informative and interesting? Today we're going to focus on presentation in person rather than online or in text. We may do that at some future meeting, but our time is so short, we're just going to be talking about presentations when you're giving talks. And the third is allow. Are you allowing yourself to share your message, or are you allowing fear to keep you quiet? Speaking up in public, whether it's giving a speech or networking or any other kind of public speaking, sales, whatever, is number one on people's list of fears. The question is, are you getting past those fears and allowing yourself to share your message? So what I discussed a couple sessions ago was the first key to a compelling presentation. And I said the first key, and I consider it the essential key, frankly, is a compelling message. You've got to have something worthwhile to say. And what I was sharing in that session was the message. Your message should be memorable, should be worth remembering. It should be good, right? It should be well organized so it makes sense and people can follow your line of thought and your line of reasoning. And it should be worthwhile. Boy, that was really worth my time. You don't want somebody to leave any presentation you've made and say, well, that was a waste of time. So those are the three things I think that are important about a compelling message. It's memorable, it's well organized, it's worthwhile. Of course, it should be organized so that it's the message for the people, for your audience. And this is the reaction you should be getting. Everybody should be thrilled to hear what you have to say. However, you can have the most wonderful message in the world, but you also need the second key to a compelling presentation. And what's that? How you present it. Do you get up there and you have this wonderful speech you've written out, and every word is carefully crafted and every sentence is meaningful, and you get up there and you read it from the paper and you do it in a monotone and you sound boring. And the most wonderful speech in the world and the most wonderful, impactful message in the world can be ruined if you don't present it in an engaging and an effective way. So Question is, how do you do that? And again, as I mentioned, we're just talking about spoken presentations and generally speeches and presentations in person. So, and this is actually true for all kinds of presentations. You want to engage people's attention using the three ways. There are three basic ways that people access information. One is through sight. They're seeing something, and if you're in person, it's your body language and movement. It's visuals you use if you have props. Obviously, at an online seminar like this, it's the slides. Are they well designed? Are they easy to read? Sometimes I've seen these slides where they use such a small font that you have to squint to try and read it and forget it if you're trying to read it on a cell phone. And then the sound. It's your voice, it's music. People learn through hearing, and basically all the podcasts and interviews and radio shows, those are all depending on sound, basically, as the way for people to access information. And then touch, the kinesthetic. One of the things that I always encourage, and I'm going to do it right now, is I'm going to encourage you to take some notes. There'll be one or two maybe little gems of information here that are new to you and that you want to be sure and remember. And the best way to remember something is to write it down. An actual write it in physical handwriting works much better than typing it. And even if you never read your notes again, when you write notes about any talk or any information, you are much more likely to remember it. So it's the visual, the aural, A-U-R-A-L, how it sounds, and the kinesthetic, the touch. And then there are three basic ways that people assess you when you show up to deliver a message. And these statistics, by the way, really blew my mind when I first saw them. 55% is your body language. My goodness, just how you look? That's 55% of how people assess you? They immediately make an assessment before you even say boo by your body language and how you look? 38% your tone of voice. Tone of voice? My goodness, that high for tone of voice? What's left? 7%. 7% your message. What's going on here? Why is only 7% your actual words? The reality is, in my opinion, that the words are your most essential thing because they affect your tone of voice. What you say, what you're going to say is very much affects your tone of voice and how you share it. And it affects your body language and how confident you are. If you are not confident in your spoken words, it's going to show up in your body. And people are going to say, she looks kind of unconfident, unsure of herself. So even though it says 7% for your spoken words, I would argue that actually those affect hugely the other aspects of tone of voice and body language. And by the way, if you are on the phone or on a podcast or someplace where people don't see you, where body language has nothing to do with it, and there are no slides or no visuals whatsoever, 90% of the meaning people get is from your tone of your voice, 10% from your words. Amazing, isn't it? So what do you do about body language? I mean, it's such a huge piece of how people judge you and what impact you make. I would like to suggest, and we're not going to get into movement and motions, that's a whole other issue that we don't have time for today. But I would like to suggest that you dress for success. And how do you do that? There are three strategies I'd like to share with you. Number one is to dress just a little better than the people in your audience. If you know that everybody there is going to show up in jeans, wear khakis. Everybody's there going to be in like business casual khakis and stuff. Wear, you know, a blue blazer, you know, a blazer with a pair of slacks. That's if you're a guy, and a gal wear a nice looking pantsuit. And wear something that makes you feel good. You know, when you put on a piece of clothing and you dressed in a way that you know you look good and you feel, you know, it really shows up in your body language. And you want to make sure that whatever you're wearing, you know, is something that you enjoy wearing and you feel that it represents well and it's actually part of your brand. If your brand is a very formal kind of thing, then you want to dress to fit your brand. Or if you have certain brand colors that you always use, dressing in your brand colors is a wonderful thing too. And then this is really important. Wear something that's comfortable to wear. If you are not comfortable in your body, it sure shows up in your body language. Oh, this looks so good on me. Well, the waist is a little tight, but but I look good in it. No, forget it. Don't wear something that's either a little too tight here or that oh, this material is so pretty, but it's itchy. Don't wear anything that's uncomfortable. It will show up in your body language and it will take your focus off of sharing your message effectively if you're feeling uncomfortable in your body and your bodies keep nagging you for attention. Now, there's a couple of dangerous decisions that I suggest presenters avoid, and these especially can affect women. Number one, when you are picking out clothing, you really don't want to pick something that's shouting so loudly at the audience who's looking at you that they can't hear what you're saying. Be careful that you don't wear something that's really out there, so far out. It's one thing if it's part of your brand to wear flowing gowns or something like that, but something that is so loud and inappropriate really detracts from your authority status, your expert status, and detracts from the attention people should be giving to your message, not to what you're wearing. And this is another one. For goodness sake, if you're a gal, I know these shoes are supposed to make your legs look prettier. Forget it. Wear comfortable shoes. Don't wear ankle breakers. When you wear a shoe that's not comfortable, it shows in your whole body. Not only that, these high heels throw your body out of alignment, so your posture isn't as good as it could be. And even, and this goes for both women and men, for goodness sakes, don't wear new shoes. Wear shoes that are comfortable and broken in, and preferably that don't squeak. Because you want to have comfortable feet. If your feet are not comfortable, it shows up in your entire body, how you move and how you feel. So wear comfortable, well-fitting shoes. So the second issue here is your tone of voice. And evidently, people assess 38% of meaning from your tone of voice. So what do you do to have wonderful tone of voice? Here's the second tip. Prepare your instrument. What? Instrument? What instrument? Not a violin, not a piano. No. The reality is, whether you are speaking or you are singing, your body is your instrument. That's where your voice is created, in your body. So what do you need to do to prepare your instrument? There are several things that enable you to prepare your instrument. And some of these are going to sound like things you were nagged at when you were a kid. Sorry about that, but they make just as good sense today as they did. Number one, get adequate rest. Get to sleep on time. If you are a wreck, it's going to show in your voice. Have you ever said to anybody or had anybody say to you, you sound tired? When you don't get enough sleep, you sound tired. Not only that, it's harder to share your message effectively when your brain isn't operating at full speed. Second thing is hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. The fact of the matter is that by the time you feel thirsty, you're probably dehydrated already. Now, I'm not suggesting that you hydrate at this level, but most of us are truly dehydrated. And the rule of thumb I learned when I was studying to be a voice actor is half of your body weight in ounces of water. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you should be drinking 75 ounces of water. Now, do I always reach that level? Sorry, no, I don't, but I try to, and that helps keep me hydrated. And the other advantage of staying hydrated, by the way, is the feelings of hunger and thirst are very close together in the brain. So sometimes when you think you're hungry, you're actually thirsty. So if you drink some water, that takes care of it. Isn't that a wonderful thing to know? So the third thing is practice vocal variety. That's also something we don't have time to look at today. That's going to be in our next session, and I'll be talking about that then. Breathe deeply. Why breathe deeply? Well, there's two benefits of breathing deeply. The first one, of course, is it helps you calm your nerves. So everybody tends to feel nervous before speaking. So focusing on breathing deeply is a wonderful thing to do to calm your nerves. The other reason to breathe deeply, this is especially true if you're one of those people, and I have a lot of people who come up to me, I hate the sound of my voice. I don't want to do videos. I hate how I sound. Well, one of the reasons you hate how you sound is because you're not breathing deeply and taking advantage of the chest resonance that warms up the sound of your voice. The chest resonance is really important for having a pleasant sounding voice. And when you don't breathe deeply, and when you don't use that chest resonance, when you lose all that resonance, your voice becomes much less lovely to listen to, as you can tell from right now, because I am not using chest resonance when I'm speaking to you. And so breathing deeply like that really helps to improve the sound of your voice and make you pleasant to listen to. How often have you turned off a speaker because you couldn't stand the sound of that speaker's voice? It was grating. I'm willing to bet you any amount that the problem that speaker was having was lack of chest resonance. Now, the last suggestion is to yawn. What? Yawn? What's that for? Well, same two things as breathing deeply. When you yawn, it helps to relax your nerves. And the other thing it does, especially if you yawn from the back of your mouth, from the hinge between your the back of your lower and upper teeth, it opens up the space in your mouth. And your mouth is another important resonating chamber for your voice. So when you yawn and you breathe deeply, you are greatly expanding the resonance of your voice and the pleasantness of your voice and your ability to enunciate and speak clearly when you have all of that wonderful space. So here's my brief overview of how to present compellingly. First of all, engaging people's three senses, sight, sound, and touch. So when you are actually presenting, how you look, your body language, all of that stuff, how you're dressed, how you sound, the sound of your voice, and involving people with taking notes. Very often when I'm giving a presentation, I hand out outlines and I make sure everybody has a pen so they can take notes. And it really engages people. And by the way, the other benefit of that is that you can always put your contact information on any outline you hand out. And that's a good way to make it easy for potential clients and customers to get in touch with you. So dress for success so that you both feel good and look good in your clothing. And then prepare your instrument, your voice, so that your voice sounds good and is reliable. And this is the necessity, which I kind of implied earlier on. Know that you have a worthwhile message to share. When you know that what you are sharing is worthwhile and of value to people, it affects everything. It affects your whole aura, how you come across. It affects how you speak, how you move, the tone of your voice. Knowing that you have a worthwhile message that will serve people and help them in what they need, that what you are sharing is something that they may desperately need and want to hear, that is the most powerful key to presentation success. So allow me to conclude with a couple of invitations. The first is to join me for our next Coffee and Coaching Club meeting. And I alluded to it earlier, the value of vocal variety and how to use it. And you can sign up for that at coffeeandcoaching.club. And I mentioned that I learned this as a voice when I was studying to be a voice actor. In case you don't know what a voice actor is, it's an actor whose voice you hear but whom you don't see. So it's the voice you hear on cartoons and in commercials and at the airport telling you to watch your luggage and not take anything from a stranger. Those, when you hear just a person's voice, that's voice acting. And we're going to talk about the value of vocal variety so that you use your voice to the best effect and so that it emphasizes the value of your message rather than detracting from it. And my second invitation is to take advantage of my complimentary communication confidence assessment. And you can find that at vibrantvocalpower.com/CCA. And what that assessment does is it lists all kinds of public speaking, because I consider public speaking not just giving a speech, but anytime you talk to somebody other than yourself. So assessing how comfortable are you at networking, how comfortable are you on phone, on video, all these various different places where you need to use your voice, hopefully with confidence and effectiveness, so that all your messages are clear and confident and compelling. And the best way to know where you might need a little more assistance or a little more work to improve that confidence is by taking that assessment. And my bribe is that once a month I will pick one of the people who takes that assessment and send a complimentary copy of my #1 international best-selling book, Empowering Business Owners to Overcome Speaking Fears, whether you're talking with one person or 1,000. And so that is my bribe. Once again, the place to get the assessment is at vibrantvocalpower.com/CCA. And now, Margaret, it is time for Q&A. What have you got for me?
Well, Marjorie, I'm going to first give you a comment that came through on the slide with the very wildly patterned skirts. So, Paul made the note, men with wacky suits too.
Oh, okay. Listen, it worked. It works for some people. It certainly worked for Liberace, but
yeah, but still. Okay, so this is an interesting question. I get that you said this was for in-person presentations, but do you find that dressing for success impacts how my tone of voice is received when I'm doing online presentations?
well, I have to tell you, maybe this isn't true for everybody, but if I were sitting here in my nightgown and robe, rather than dressed up as if I were presenting this where you could see me, I just wouldn't feel as professional. I wouldn't feel as authoritative if I was dressed in comfort sloppy mode. I just really feel how you dress, even if people can't see you, really affects how you feel about yourself. And I think that really affects, certainly it affects your tone of voice and how authoritative you feel. I honestly don't think I would feel 100% authoritative in my nightgown and robe. That's me. And so I'm definitely I definitely have a preference for dressing for the situation. Now, am I wearing shoes? No, because I'm sitting down in front of my PC, so I'm here in my socks. True confession. But that I'm not standing around walking around the room because I want my voice to actually get on the recording. But other than that, I am dressed for success.
Well, you know, Marjorie, we are all doing the whole from home stuff, and I know that sweatpants are selling out everywhere. So,
Actually, that's not what I heard. I heard that Walmart is selling a lot more shirts than they are bottoms.
yes, 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 indeed. Okay, so here's another question. I need to learn more about my own tone of voice. I don't understand how others hear me. Any suggestions?
Okay, so here's the thing about your voice. One of the things, first of all, you record your voice, but don't expect to sound like you think you sound, because when we hear ourselves speaking, we are hearing ourselves inside of our own heads. Which, you know, our head is our whole head is a in addition to our mouth, our whole head is a resonating chamber. And so when you hear yourself recorded, don't expect that it's going to sound like you think you sound like. But the best thing to do is to hear a recording of yourself and to assess, do I sound resonant? Don't try and think, do I sound the same way I sound inside my head? Because the answer to that will be no. The question will be, do you think that your voice sounds pleasant? Are you using vocal variety, or are you talking in a monotone like this? That you can hear very easily on a recording. So recording yourself is a good thing to do. And then having a listening ear, somebody who knows about vocal production and projection and vocal variety. Connecting with somebody who can help you with that is always a wonderful thing. I will tell you now, my avocation is singing. And I have been taking singing lessons for probably about 40 years now. And I once read that Pavarotti had a singing coach right through the end of his life. Now, if Luciano Pavarotti needed somebody to listen to him, I for sure need somebody to listen to me. So having somebody to coach you is also a wonderful thing. But you can start with just recording yourself and see what you sound like.
And you'll be digging more into that in the value of vocal variety as well.
Absolutely.
So, and finally, Marjorie, would you like to share with folks how they can catch up on past Coffee and Coaching Club sessions?
Absolutely. If you go, when you go to coffeeandcoachingclub.com.
No,
No,
coffeeandcoaching.club.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Margaret is the one who found .club for me. Coffeeandcoaching.club. And you scroll down to the bottom, you will see a link to my YouTube channel. And I have the first 5 up there already, and I'm working on getting the rest of them as we go along. And that's where you can find prior programs. And the other thing is, if you sign up and subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate it, because when I hit 100, I will be able to put my name on my channel instead of having big XYQ number 3, you know, all those strange URLs that they have for YouTube channels. So I suggest, if you have a YouTube channel and you'd like to do the same, if you don't already have at least 100 subscribers, or if you have over 100 subscribers, get your name on your channel. And if not, encourage people to subscribe, as I'm encouraging you to please subscribe to mine.
Terrific. Well, Marjorie, we're at time and we are out of questions. So over to you.
Thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you, metaphorically speaking, of course, at the value of vocal variety and how to use it. Thank you very much for joining me, and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.